got chicken, ducks, and roosters on the farm. I'm just speeding backwards, snoozing the alarm. Johnny ate the grass, he's mooing on the bong. Gypsy blisters never sing for long. I hope I'm not wrong, I hope I'm not wrong. I hope I'm not wrong, I hope I'm not wrong. I hope I'm not wrong, I hope I'm not wrong. I hope I'm not wrong, I hope I'm not wrong.
One of those things, like I've told so many people this, but like jiu-jitsu and comedy is like so intertwined, so it's interesting to watch the two worlds like so close together.
Oh yeah.
And like so many people that do jiu-jitsu or MMA are also comedians and vice versa, and like it's really cool, especially whenever we went to Austin for like Jake doing jiu-jitsu. I do comedy and he does comedy too. It's like such a cool thing to watch.
Yeah.
No matter where we go, both worlds exist.
Oh,
you know
sure.
what I mean? It's really cool. So we have Hector Roman today, everybody. The owner of Constant Pressure Tattoo. Really cool guy. I met you through my boyfriend, as many other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I heard about you for a long time before we ever actually met, just about your art and who you are as a person and, you know, that sort of deal. So I want to kind of get into, I don't have a voice either, so pardon that. But I kind of want to get into like the art aspect in tattooing.
Sweet.
And
Hell yeah.
kind of like owning your own business at such a young age and how that's been going and what kind of led you there and what's something that you feel like it's doing good for you and what is it doing negative?
Yeah, fuck yeah. Well, it's definitely a unique story. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if, I'm sure Jake probably gave you a synopsis of it, but tattooing is the only thing I ever wanted to do. I was 5 years old, grew up in Orlando, grew up in Pine Hills, and my grandfather, who was just a pretty unique individual, and that's a nice way of saying he did heroin and sold drugs.
Yeah.
But
what an icon.
Yeah, exactly. But I grew up seeing tattoos as like a criminal, like organizational thing. Like no one around me with tattoos was a great person, you know. I had like family members that sold drugs and all that stuff. So that's my only exposure to tattoos.
Okay.
And one time we were at Sam's Club for some odd reason, and I saw a guy just looked like he was in a biker club, full sleeve, and I told my grandpa at the time, I was like, hey, that dude's in a gang, and he's literally like, I was like 5, and my family has a very
You're 5 years old, just like
literally
racially profiling
already
people.
I think that's just the Puerto Rican thing. We're all inherently
And
profiling.
then you later became a cop.
Which just you wait, it gets even crazier. But what's it called? And he looks at me, he's like, "You're fucking retarded." No, he's not. Like, all right, we were brutally honest to each other. That's how I grew up. And he's like, "No, he's not in a fucking gang, you moron." So he
That's
grabbed.
actually so funny.
Oh,
like you're just stereotyping people, and you can't
it's
even,
wild.
you can't even wipe your ass yet.
No. Just setting myself up for success.
Yeah.
But he grabs me, drags me over there, and I've always been a small person. Obviously I was 5, so I was tiny then, but this guy might as well have been like 6'8" to me, giant beard, and pulls me up there, and he's like, "Hey, my grandson thinks you're in a gang. Can you show him your tattoo?" And I thought that was it. I thought I was going to get murdered. I was like, "Fuck you, Grandpa. I can't believe you did that."
He's literally going to grab you by the neck and kill you.
Turns out the guy was an artist for Disney, and the sleeve was an all Disney themed like tattoo sleeve.
Ew.
Right?
But,
which
never
is
mind.
wild.
I take it all back.
Yeah. But what's it called?
In a Disney cult.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever got exposed to tattoos as art. And I always drew. I never was cool enough to like be in any like click, but I could draw for people, and that was like my like neutral, like, hey, don't kick my ass, like we're fine. I was always a giant nerd.
Picture.
yeah. Literally back then it was like I would do everyone's name in graffiti because I
someone comes to rob your house and you're like, "I'll paint a self-portrait for you, I swear."
It's like, I promise, just get naked, I'll draw you. I promise that.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and then so ever since then I was like, that's what I want to do. I was 5 or 6, and then fast forward, at 13, my stepfather at the time used to be a tattoo artist in Puerto Rico.
Oh, sick.
And he gave me his old coil machine, taught me how it worked out, taught me how to make stencils, all that stuff. Didn't get to tattoo because obviously super, super illegal, and I have a very strict Puerto Rican mom. Yeah. But that laid the groundwork into it. Like that's all I wanted to do. Like growing up, The people I knew, the people that were around me just knew I was going to be an artist, and even the teachers like fed that into me. So I had one identity my entire life.
And that was just like the artist.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
I was going around doing art shows. I won every single art show in Brevard County for all that's worth. But back then I thought it was hot shit.
Do you have those up in the tattoo shop?
No, God, no. They're in a basket, and I fucking hate every single one of them.
The colored ribbons that you get on
literally, that's not like a dog show ribbon.
That's so funny.
And then right around 15, 16 is when I got introduced to jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And then I met my coach then was Wade Rome, and since then it was like, that was it. I was just hooked to jiu-jitsu, yeah.
Yeah.
And through jiu-jitsu, I started meeting a lot of people and learned what discipline was. I didn't really have it before. I was a piece of shit. Smoked weed like every other kid, skated. I was part of like the punk rock scene.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a professional skateboarder. That's when I got introduced to that. It's like I bounced everywhere. So
I went through like I'm obsessed with Tony Hawk phase.
Yeah, fuck yeah, hell yeah.
It was so bad.
That's awesome. So right around 18 was when I had a scholarship to go to Savannah College of Art and Design.
That school is really, really sick.
Oh, bro, I was hyped. I was so excited. I thought my future was laid out for me. I was like, there was this list. My art teacher at the time, Miss Woznicki, who I know you're listening, so shouts out to her.
And my art teacher, Dr. Benton.
Let's go. But she had me write out like the 10 most influential artists in my life, right?
Okay.
So I wrote down a list, and I got cocky at the bottom. I wrote my own name. Like I was like, I'm gonna be a fucking like the best artist in the world.
That's so funny.
It's so cringy.
You knew you were destined to be.
Well, the funny thing is my mom sat me down and she goes, hey, dude, I'm hyped for you. I'm proud of you. But if you leave, we are going to probably, not be set up financially. We can't afford the school. We are probably it'll just be me and your sister fending for ourselves. And so I had to, come to terms with I'm not going to go to college.
Yeah.
I got to get a job so I can help my mom pay the bills.
Gotcha.
Which is normal. I started paying the bills since I could get a job.
Yeah, you're Puerto Rican. So
exactly. Literally. Yeah. So then I had to put that aside, get a real job that could help. And at that time with jiu-jitsu, I knew a lot of guys that were in law enforcement.
Gotcha.
And they're the ones that kind of helped me mold my way into it.
Okay.
Not at all anything I thought I would do. I ended up working directly through, because technically the city mayor is our boss. That guy was my dean in middle school, and he suspended me. Like I said, I wasn't no one in my life would have known that I was going to be a cop. It wasn't something I wanted. I grew up hating the police. I grew up thinking very negatively of them, and and what's it called? Actually one of the guys that handcuffed me in high school because he thought I had weed ended up being my coworker. And every time they saw me, there's no fuck. When they saw me, there's no way you could be a cop.
Yeah.
And no one believed me, and I didn't really tell many people that either. Cause
it's like crazy to see how like people are like, oh, you were a bad kid, you can't be a cop, and like how terribly that's aged.
Well, not only that too,
the worse kid you are, the more likely you are to be a cop.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is too is like it's like back to the profiling thing. Like a lot of people that I went to school with that knew me for who I was. The moment they found out, they're like, yo, fuck you. Which, funny, I get it. I'd say that too. But I lost a lot of friends because of it. And I also, especially in Florida, you're either, if you tell someone you're a cop, you're either getting your dick sucked or getting told to go kill yourself. They don't, it's either love or hate based on a fucking uniform. And that's another reason why I didn't do it. I didn't care for it. I did my job the best I can do. But
really, you just did it for money.
Literally, 100%. I wanted to take care of my mom, my sister. I am definitely grateful because it allowed. I grew up as a cop, and I grew up my first, literally my first day on they call it just solo patrol, where you're on the road by yourself, was a mass shooting at a. What's it called? But yeah, back to it. So that was literally my first day on the road by myself. Was. Here I am, gung-ho, stoked. I'm taking care of my family and thinking I'm gonna do good for society, and then boom, there's 4 dead bodies in front of me at 19, and it's cringy talking about it because it's not I'm fuck yeah, thank you, you're welcome for my service. I just feel like it's being for comedy, right? Let's say you put your hours in, you put your work in, you don't yell at the top of your lungs when you walk in a store oh, watch out, I'm a fucking comedian, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. You know what I mean? You're not doing it to be a comedian, you're doing it because it's the outlet you look for. So when I was in law enforcement, I saw a lot of guys, like most of the kids that were cops or became cops, unfortunately, were bullied in high school or middle school, and they have that sense of power, and they think it's the best way to get women and like that popularity, and people look at you differently. You know, it's a sense of power that gets abused a lot, unfortunately. And
it's either like military or law
exactly,
enforcement.
And that's why it's like, again, maybe it's not cringy, but I just don't like that being my personality or people knowing me for that exact reason, because again, like I was a tattoo artist, that's who I am, like, or
like more so people thinking that you're like broken or traumatized
100% like, and that like people's opinions change, and that's something I realized because I ended up working towards the height of the you know, anti-police like Black Lives Matter movement, which was wild, but observationally I saw like people that I literally had dinner with or went out the week before there's a big protest, and I walked with them like in solidarity, all that nonsense, and they found that's when people knew I was a cop, because there's a lot of people there, and literally like I remember this one kid, hung out with him a week before, saw me, I went to go shake his hand, he just looked at me and walked away. He's like, get the fuck away from me. And I was just like, you know, good riddance. And it's like I said, it taught me a lot. If I went to art school as opposed to being the route I did, I'd be such a soft little bitch. And like, it would not have, like, it allowed me to grow. It allowed me to realize like shit happens, you can't control it, and no one's here to like you or hate you. They're just here to live their own life and benefit what benefits them.
It's so interesting how like one decision that you felt like was like, oh, this is just what I need to do at the time, like affects you for the rest of your life. It's like such a wild thing. And that's interesting that you're saying like you had people treat you a certain way before you were a cop, and then
100%.
as soon as you became a cop, it was like a complete 180. And you said that you kind of agreed with it. Do you feel like there's both sides to it? Like you understand, but also don't, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing is, I think that's what benefited me as I grew up poor. I grew up like being in situations and like being in certain situations that most kids wouldn't be. I grew up like I remember my mom like going to the grocery store with her, where we'd fill up the cart with groceries, so excited we get to eat this week, and then having the EBT card not work and going like, okay, like seeing my mom have to return groceries for her kid, you know? So I know what it's like to like, a lot of people, it's hard to understand. This is my perspective. I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm just very grateful that my perspective let me understand that a lot of times people don't call cops to like be pieces of shit. Sometimes they need a vent. Sometimes they need an outlet. And sometimes people, they're not criminal because they're shitty people. They're just unfortunately in a very like I stole as a kid because I couldn't afford things. I didn't do it because I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm an evil. No, I just like I stole. I smoked weed, and it's not because like I fucking hated society. It's just like that's where I fit in. That's where I felt like I was part of a crew or a group of people that appreciated me. I did graffiti. Like I did these things that like allowed me to understand.
You felt like you were more understood. Like
exactly. Way, and it helped me out because there's, I would say, in like, and this isn't like a brag or anything, but like through jujitsu and through how I grew up, the 5 years that I was in, I never pulled out my taser, I never pulled out my pepper spray. A lot of it was being able to talk my way out of things or talking people down from things and experience things that most 19 to 23-year-olds or 24-year-olds would never experience in their life. Like, but I kept that a secret. Like there's one of my best friends now, who's my business partner. He didn't know I was a cop until I tattooed him. And like even the people that I work with now, I kept that a secret for the longest time, especially in like, I went from...
And that's intentional?
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, I'd rather people either think I'm a piece of shit because I'm a piece of shit or like me because I'm a decent person. It's very much, I like, even with tattooing, I don't tell people that firsthand. Like I introduce myself, I try my best to again, just be a decent person with who I am and then let everything else do the talking for me. Because like, I just think life's too short to give a fuck about what you do, like as your identity, you know?
Especially since that's not like the route that you chose. It was just something you did for a little bit.
What's funny is like when I became that, I was definitely a super bro. Like I was like jiu-jitsu, law enforcement, like I'm the fucking guy. I'm going to fight till the death. Like it was pretty annoying. Like I thought art was stupid. I thought like all that, like I wasn't a man because I drew and shit like that. So I left it. Like I just thought this was my life now. This is everything. I had a safe paycheck. I was paying bills. I'll do this until I retire. And
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was. So I was 19 when I got in, 21 when I joined the SWAT team, and then I was K9 at 22 or 23, I believe. And I thought that was it. When I got my dog was when I thought it was it, because he was kind of like him and my wife both were my saving grace, but I was getting my sleeve done, and the artist there, my wife told him, like, hey, he draws, and we kind of spoke about it, and I mentioned, like, I always wanted a tattoo, just never had the opportunity, and that guy brought up pursuing tattoo as a career, and I was like, I don't know, man, like, just no insurance, there's no, like, all this normal stuff you do before you like start your own business or follow your passion. You're like, I feel safe here. And it wasn't until my wife, who is like the main reason where I'm at right now, she's like, well, how about you just follow your dreams and do what makes you happy? And this is someone, I was living with my mother-in-law. We had no house. I barely had a car. Like, if I was in any other situation, I wouldn't have disagreed. I wouldn't have questioned if she left me, in the sense of, like, I didn't have anything to offer. And she sat me down. She's like, stop being a little bitch and just follow your passions. Like, we'll go through it. It'll be hard, and it won't be the easiest thing ever, but we'll make it happen. And funny enough, it was the hardest thing to do, not because it was hard to leave the job, but like I said, I had my dog. And that guy was my everything. He saved my life before. Motherfuckers bit me before. Like, we've been through some pretty. He's been with me through my lowest lows and my highest highs. And that was just as much her dog as it was mine.
Right.
So we sat and talked. We're like, okay, cool. We'll like try and get some cash together, get $10,000, and then save up enough to offer them money for a dog. And the time came when we finally, like, I was going to leave, and brought an envelope full of $10K in cash. And the guy that I worked for, the chief at the time, didn't remember my name. I was there for 5 years. Like, 5 years, I've risked my life just to make this guy look good. And just remembered me as that boy. And then had the dog for 2. And the guy's like, when I asked him for it, he's like, I'm not going to give you a dog you've had for 5 months. So at that point, I realized, like, this guy, like, here I am thinking I was going to do something right and, like, invest my time in this, when they don't care. They didn't care about any government job. Like, it's just a job, unfortunately, you know? Doesn't matter how much you risk your life for. Like, they don't give a fuck about you, and they don't have to. And so, like, that for me was the hardest point of my life, was getting rid of, like, my best friend. And then giving it to someone that just didn't give a fuck about him, you know?
My best friend, she's in the Air Force, and she's a K-9 handler in the Air Force, and she has been for years. And it's like, it's her calling. It's her life. Like, she has a very, very deep attachment to all of her dogs, and it's they did adopt one of them, and
that's awesome.
Yeah. So her and her husband both do that, and it's really cool to see, because it definitely is a passion, and when you have that connection with animals and that's your job and that's what you do, it is extremely fulfilling, and it's really beautiful to see. But yeah, I think that a lot of people have, like, a misconception about police in general, and I'm not somebody that, I'm not extreme one way or the other. I'm very, like, in the middle, because my entire family is all military, you know what I mean? And so, like, I have a respect for people that do those types of jobs, but at the same time, I understand the issues that we're having in the country, and it's very severe, and it's very bad, and it needs to be addressed, and it's unacceptable. It's fucking disgusting.
I used to get written up all, like, legitimately, like, I would, like, again, my issue is the same thing as yours. Like, if I see a fat cop, shouldn't be there. If I see someone that like, fucking, like, I literally,
if you're fat, you're out.
Literally, like, that, or fucking, like.
Is it because they can't do their job, like, physically?
For me, my thought process is, if my wife needs to call 911, can I trust them to save her life? And I can't.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, if you, because at the end of the day, people depend on us.
I'm checking police officer off my career list.
What's it called? Like, literally, like, they people call you and they expect a certain level of performance out of you, and I upheld that. Like, when I was, if someone's life depended on me to react and hopefully save them, or even if it's something as little as, like, just helping someone up, like, if you can't pick someone up, you get the fuck out. Like, I would tell them all the time, like, you're like, and that's why I wasn't the best cop. I didn't write tickets. I wasn't the best as far as, like, camaraderie was. Like, I was very honest. I had my friends, and I was very close with the people that I was close with, thankfully. But yeah, I would call them out all the time. I'd be like, if you're a fat piece of shit, get the fuck out. Like, stop. Like, don't. Like, you're a waste of space. You're a waste of time. Like, you're the reason why we have a bad image.
On the other side of it too, it's it's the state's fault, and it's the police
100%.
academy's fault that are allowing that.
Because
it should be regulated, and those are things that should happen because on a safety aspect, firefighters are a perfect example. Firefighters have to be a certain way, and they have to be able to pass certain tests throughout their entire career because of the safety aspect of it, and people are relying on you to keep them safe.
You don't see no one protesting firefighters.
Never.
So
never,
they're a lot cooler.
And I remember whenever like the height of like the anti-police and you know, BLM was a huge movement, and all that was coming to its rearing its ugly head in society, and people were really realizing, you know, after Trayvon Martin, there's a serious thing that needs to be addressed here. And I remember, because my dad used to be a police officer in the Air Force.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he was law enforcement, and so my dad has a certain respect, and I always grew up with respecting police, respecting the military. You respect people like that, and you know, we also understand that there's issues, and it is fucking gross, and I'll never condone any of that behavior. I'll never have like an American flag with the blue stripe. Fuck you guys.
It's literally it's so funny because they're so anti-gang and anti-whatever, and it's like, you're flying a flag with colors. Like, that's the closest thing to a gang you can get. And I remember
my dad just putting it into perspective for me on the other side of it, and like we were having a conversation about it, and it was actually after the Breonna Taylor incident. Which I don't know if you know about that.
Yeah, very much,
It was right after Breonna Taylor, which was something that was extremely catastrophic and you know, a heartbreaking story. And he told me, he was like, you know, you have to understand that most police officers are exactly in the situation you were in. I need a job that has benefits, right? You go into this job, it's secure, it's safe, it's you know, you get the benefits, it's a steady paycheck, it's a respectable job, all these things. But you have to understand that, like, if someone just shows up for work and they're told this is what you need to go do, and they go do it and it was a mistake, like, you can't even begin to understand the like mental toll that takes on you. And like, there is no why to things. It's always go here, do this, do that, write it down, paperwork, this and that. It's very like, it's like a conveyor belt of things that need to happen. And some things need to be like that, like traffic stops and stuff need to be, you know, it's not that, where it's not life or death. But in instances like that, he's like, you know, the guy that shot her was like in his 30s, like a very normal human being, you know what I mean? Like, and just was told that you guys need to go to this house and find this person, he, you know, this and that. And they showed up, and it was a mistake, and it was horrible, and it cost somebody's life, an innocent person. It's
unfortunate. And that's the thing that's like, and you being around jiu-jitsu so long through Jake, like, you know, there's ranks, but within those ranks, you got a black belt that's Gordon Ryan, or a black belt that's, you know, a hobbyist that doesn't train. Like, that's, everyone's just a normal person. Everything is subjective. And that's the thing that I feel like I wish people had a more objective view on, is the subjectivity of everything. And it's unfortunate because, of course, we get these emotions and we get these feelings and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, it's very, there's so many variables, you know, and that's the thing is no matter what my opinion is, it doesn't matter because I'm not in it anymore. It doesn't matter because my life is gone a different trajectory. And that's, again, why I'm so cognizant. It's like, it is what I did. It taught me how to be how I am and who I am, but it doesn't make me, like, it doesn't make me me. I'm not Hector because I was a cop. No, I'm Hector because I am.
And that is like why I'll never be one of those people that's just like, fuck all cops. Like, you know, I'll never be to that extreme because people like you exist, and there are good people that just got a job and did nothing wrong, and all, like, no evil bone in their body. And like, you know, back in the day, like whenever you joined the police force, it probably wasn't the same as it is now, and like the controversy, and it wasn't this crazy thing to be a cop. It was a very normal thing to do. And I'll never be on that extreme either, even though I don't agree with the police and I don't agree with what's going on. I'll never be like, fuck cops, because people like you exist, and you're a good person, and I would never like want to inherently cause that, because
for sure.
It's not fair. You know what I mean? And I feel that way about a lot of things. I feel that way, like, internally, like, do I hate, you know, certain people that love Trump? Of course.
Fuck yeah.
It's disgusting. You're a weirdo, like all that. But I'll never like, fuck Republicans, I hope they all die. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never be that way, because I don't feel like that.
I think life's too short, because, like, so for example, this really helps set up my point of view on things is, I experienced a lot of death. I experienced a lot of like loss of life, and these people that I mean, I would have conversations with them one day, and then the next day they're gone. You know, and it's like these people would be angry. They'd be the same way, like fuck cops, fuck this, fuck that, and at the end of the day, or the other way around, fuck anti like fuck cop haters, fuck, and it's like no matter what, you can die tomorrow, none of it matters. Like you could literally die tomorrow, and none of it matters. So that's why I don't think it's weird because there's this poem that I always like quote where it's like there's a billion stars and people in this world and I have the audacity to think I matter, and then it's like there's a vice versa where it's like there's a billion people and stars in this planet, in this universe, but I have the audacity to think I matter. And it's and that's why I think I'm glad. And again, I don't very much believe in like things happen for a reason, but so many things have happened in my life to where it had to have happened for a reason. Because again, if I went to art school, I don't think I'd be set up for success and like the way I was now, where like I went from that to an industry where, you know, there's not many professionals, there's not much structure, there's not much like guidance, and a lot of it's built off like intimidation or like badass culture, and I'm the first to say I'm not. A lot of people who tattoo are 10 times cooler than I am. Like I'm not the cool guy, I'm not the tough guy, I'm not the let me intimidate you guy. I'm just the guy that looks down. I'll outwork anyone. I'll do my best to get as good as I can and offer the best to my clients and my community. But like I've had knives pointed at me. I've had guns pointed at me. Like it doesn't matter what anyone says. Like there's no intimidation, and you can't intimidate me in tattooing. Like it's allowed me to build the communication and like the
he said you can't compete where you can't compare.
But like it allowed me to make like friendships with people that I wouldn't have if I was like shy or nervous, because in tattooing you've been getting tattooed enough to where you know like there's an apprenticeship and there's scales where it's like you shouldn't even look at the guy that's tattooing for 10 years, and it's like fuck that dude. Like I will walk up to him and respectfully say like, hey, like I like your work, I look up to you and you're an incredible artist. Like that's it. Like and that's broken down so many boundaries that I feel like are unfortunately in tattooing now because of the old ways. And it's I think for sure it's changing, and I hope to be like ahead of that change, especially with the shop that I'm opening up now. And like I think that's
so cool.
It's like I'm saying, none of it feels real. Like if you would have told me 6 years ago that I'd be with the person I am, and her and I laugh about it all the time, like if we were to go back in time and tell ourselves like, hey, he's gonna quit his job and follow his dream and open up a tattoo shop, and then you're gonna help him run it, like we would laugh. He's gonna
be super fucking rich one day. Stay with him.
No, and that's the thing is like life just feels like it's not real, so that's why I don't care about like what other people think of what I should do. In 3 years, I've opened up 2 tattoo shops, and I don't think I'm the best by any means. I don't think that I'm where I want to be successfully, but I know that I'm just where I want to be work-wise. Like I'm surrounded by people that are amazing. They're supportive.
You're fucking killing it.
The shit just again, it doesn't feel real. It does not feel real, and everything's like kind of wound up to where it's at now.
Do you feel like you deserve it?
I never feel like I deserve anything. I've been, and that's again back to why I view the way I am. There's people that I've seen the most innocent people die for no reason. I've seen the most fucked up people live, and with the littlest things, so like true. And that's, to me, I feel like it's something I'm working on. And again, I'm grateful that I got to experience it. But like, there are people that, you know, it's I don't know why they died or why they should have died, and then like here I am fucking, or there's, for a better example, there's people that are still working. Like I have a very close friend that was like my mentor and the person I look up to that selflessly does his job and does it right, and like here I am going, hey, I get paid more than you to draw on people. Like my closest friend and my someone I look up to, he's a black belt that I train with, and Jake knows him very well. Like there's no one more that I wish I could emanate and be like than that guy. It's a beautiful wife, amazing kids. He's selflessly still working. He in his, I hope I'm right, but late 40s or early 40s, became a cop. He retired.
He's like,
became
I'm
a cop.
27.
Literally, yeah. He became a cop. He's a black belt. He is a perfect example of who I wish I could be like. And the same thing where it's, I have a buddy he's a brown belt now. It's funny enough, a lot of these memories are coming back that I forgot about. I don't want to say his name, but you know him. He's a brown belt. He met me when I was 16, and he was one of the reasons why I looked at, like, planted the seeds for law enforcement.
Gotcha.
And helped me train and like kind of keep me on track as far as like what I can do and what I can't do. but he also got me back into jiu-jitsu.
I think Jake showed me like an old picture of you from like a long time ago, and I was like, oh, he probably makes people sick.
Oh, dude.
He got so cool. That's like the best thing to see is like there will be guys like Jake's like, no, like he's him, like, you know, like describing a person, and then he'll show me like an old picture of them, and I'm like, oh, they make their siblings sick to their stomach.
I look like such a snitch. It was wild. I look like such a fucking bootlicker, and it's one of those things where if
you would have saw me, I was disgusting. I was like skinny, emo.
Oh, bro, there's a I'll show you when I leave if you ever want to fucking have like shit to write about. There's an old Facebook account that I can't get back into that my mom just fucking changed the password for, and I had different phases.
It's so public.
Oh, bro, it is.
I
was emo at one, like emo as fuck, and then at one point
I was giving like
yes, but I had a youth pastor phase. So you can see the timeline of my like just different arcs in life where it's just emo shit and like the gross MySpace like fucking like just long hair, daffy vanity, blood on the dance floor type shit,
skinny jeans.
Yep, and then like heavy Christian Joel Osteen cringe, and then fucking like I remember the night I split. Yes,
That's
dude.
Literally the cover of
dude. Go swipe. There's one where it's giving roar, like literally XD roar. Yes, bro. Like it's bad. Look at that shit. Like fucking
the long beanie.
You'll get long. It's a purple flannel and it had a hoodie with short sleeves. Yo, look at the hover hands. I didn't touch. That was the first time I touched a woman.
The flannel with a hoodie.
Look. I'm not touching her. That was MegaCon. That like when I tell you I was a nerd, I was a fucking nerd. Yo,
I love her.
Wild. Keanu Reeves copied me. I did
Keanu
hover
Reeves
hands.
Stole your style.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And
and that's why it's so weird, man. Like for perfect example, like Jake, right? He and I knew of each other in high school. We weren't friends, but somehow fucking got back. Like we reconnected through tattooing and jiu-jitsu, and it's the craziest shit on how it works out. My wife, I've known of my wife since middle school. As creepy as it was, I never am nervous to talk to people. I'm not a shy guy. I'm very like to a detriment in high school. I was very fucking outlandish.
Yeah.
Could not build the courage to talk to her. Could not fucking build the courage to talk to her.
Yeah. She's also like taller than you too.
Bro,
you were terrified.
Wild. But it was, and I always knew her. We had a friend in common, and I always knew her as like Mariah's pretty friend. Couldn't fucking talk to her. I couldn't like do any. And one night after she had ACL surgery, she ends up at the same party I was at. Plastered. I was fucked up, super drunk.
So you were like, I'm going to talk to her.
No. I couldn't even talk to her then. Literally,
really?
I was talking to some other chick. It was crazy. Like, I could not fucking build the courage up to talk to her. I was fucked up. I don't remember anything other than I knew where she sat. I knew what she wore. I knew the moment we looked. It's the weirdest.
Was she like paying attention to you or no?
No, there was just one moment we literally looked at each other and I'm like, I want to marry her. Like, I never, like, literally... Never in my life did I think that.
So
never in my life did I think I would have... Like, if anyone who knew me before her knew I was a vile piece of shit. Horrible person. And then I meet her. Literally, I was just a terrible fuckboy. Like, I didn't care for women. I was disrespectful. If I could go back in time and beat the shit out of myself.
Face?
Yeah.
In your raw
No. In the very buzz cut, like, gross face.
I was about to be like, if you were pulling bitches then, that's crazy.
Hell no. Fucking, there's actually, oh my God, dude. I haven't talked about this in forever. There's on that same Facebook page, there's a shared, like, friend zone, like shade post I did because I got friend zoned from some chick, and it was wild. I was just such a gross simp. But
you walk into a Hot Topic and they were like, you can start today.
Yes, dude, literally. And then like I said, I just saw her and I couldn't even talk to her then. So I like pulled some fucking like cringy, like found her on Instagram, and I was like, hey, were you at Ryan's bonfire? And she goes, did you just look me up? And I was like, no, I found you on suggested friends. And she goes, sure.
It's actually been in my recent search for the past 5 years.
Dude, yeah. And then what's even funnier is like, I could not ask for her number. I still messaged her on Instagram. And then like 5 days later, she goes, so are you going to waste my data or are you going to ask for my number? And I was like, fucking, I guess.
Waste my data?
Dude, she was, she's a complete, like,
what an icon.
People don't know the Addie.
She said, you're running up my gigabytes. What's going on?
That's like nothing in my life feels real. Nothing in my life and where I came from like feels legitimate. Like the shop I'm opening up now is in downtown Melbourne.
Yeah,
7 months ago.
So sick.
7 months
Downtown
ago, it
Melbourne.
was like just a thought, like, hey, I'll chill out because I just moved and expanded my studio on Merritt Island. It's like, cool, I can relax. I can just focus on my work now. And then the opportunity came up, and my best friend and I were like, let's open up a shop in Melbourne. We're like, fuck, there's no way that's gonna happen. And then it's getting a haircut.
Especially in downtown Melbourne, like
crazy,
I would have never thought that would happen.
Crazy. That's why I'm so grateful. I think that's why, again, like part of me resents it, which isn't a good thing, but like I'm grateful for the 5 years that I had in law enforcement because it made me who I was. But it's not who I am, if that makes sense, you know? And that's why it's like that's crazy because you have like the perfect life story of something that my dad has told me my whole life. And he always says, you have to do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. Yep.
And yours is like a perfect example of that. It's like that obviously being in law enforcement isn't what you wanted to do for the rest of your life, but you had to do it. So now you can have the life that you have now, which is so sick.
Yeah, that's why no one's gonna, like, there's no one that can take this from me. Like, I have what I have set up, thankfully, and I don't give a shit, like, what people, like, and I literally was bashed on the internet by some fucking, my old mentor that I unfortunately worked under. He posted the video of me and the entire shop getting fired, saying we're pieces of shit, shouldn't work here, all this stuff. He was a vile human being.
Oh, wow.
But like, I didn't care. I just like let it happen. I was like, whatever. Like, he's got my opinion of me. It is what it is. Thankfully, like, now I'm opening up my second shop and he's somewhere fucking hiding off, like, just doing whatever he does, you know? And
exactly. You make him sick to his stomach. Sick.
It's weird, man. And I view this industry, again, is growing. It's changing a lot to where we can like just be nice to each other. Like, just understand that life's too short.
That's how I feel about comedy too. Is it's so the same way that everybody would rather, it's a competition to everyone in their head.
So
and
crazy.
It's like, who's doing better? Who's first place? Who's this? Who's that? When it's like, we are literally all here trying to do the same exact shit. If we all like helped each other and were nice and worked together and like weren't trying to just like, oh, you need to do it this way because my way is right, you know, blah, blah, blah. If it wasn't for that, people would be a lot more successful. Yeah.
And that's the thing for me is like, it might be the same in comedy, but like where they're like, no, what I do is the best. And this is, I'm like, cool, so that's why you're in Brevard County? Like, that's why you're still here?
That's why you're still renting a space in a hair salon.
And that's, it's just do, like, mind your business, do you, support those that support you. Like, and that's another thing that's even more insane. Like, I didn't grow up in the tattoo industry. I don't know many people in the tattoo industry, but the people that I do have showed me unrelenting support and have pushed me to be a better me. Like, during the darkest of times, like, people I didn't even I've never met, like, are talking positively of me and like supporting. And it's like, again, it just doesn't feel like real life. It's definitely
true. Like, anytime me and Jake have gone anywhere, like a tattoo shop or anything, and we bring you up, people always have like the nicest things to say. Like, they always say really positive things about you, which is good because it's like you seem like the type of person that's like, you're the same person through and through, no matter who you're around, no matter what it is. Like, you're you, and there's no like mistaking it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no need to. I tell people all the time, like, not the smartest, I'm not the best, I'm half retarded most of the time, and I will forget something the moment you tell me. Like, I'd rather be upfront and honest about it, because there's no, like, I have my wife, I have my dogs, I have my business, and I have my family. That's all I need. I don't need to impress anyone. I don't need to like, for me, my goal is to be a better tattoo artist and hopefully one day be a great father and continue to be an amazing husband to my amazing wife. And the only thing I need to do to get to that goal is just to be a better me. And so if anyone, there's no side shoots for me. Like, there's none that will distract me, and I don't need to impress anyone. I don't need to be friends with everyone. Like, and some people they look at that in a negative way, but it's hard for people to understand. Like, I don't need friends to be successful, and the friends that I have, I'm happy with. Like, I'm grateful that they are all that I need.
And I think that definitely changes as we get older. How old are you?
26.
Okay, so you're the same age as me.
Yeah.
So I think that like at 22, 23, it's 100% not that way.
Not at all. No.
You care everything about how many friends you have and what they think and you know, this and that and how things look. And I definitely will say, like, the last year, probably only the last year, is whenever I started to really like care so little about what people think and what people think I should be doing. And that has helped me in comedy too. I stopped trying to impress people.
You can't. Like, what's the point?
I stopped.
I wonder if it's the same thing in comedy, because it's a little different where, like, the people you need to impress can't give you the shit you need to be successful.
Right.
Like, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, there will be others that appreciate you more. And that's why, like I said, I wanted to ask you that, where, because you said it was this is the last year you've cared so less, like has that benefited you in your comedy, and like has that, because you've been killing it, you fucking have been killing it, like ever since Jake told me about you and like showed me your comedy, and like I said, I'm a huge comedy fan, like it's so cool to see such quick growth in the short amount of time that I've seen, but it's also cool to hear you think that way, where it's like, we just want what we want and that's it, we don't need anything else, you know?
It's definitely like, I feel like I stopped trying to be number one. It is. Like that's just me being so open and honest and transparent. I wanted to be the funniest, not girl, not anything. I wanted to be the funniest person in the room, but in a like, fuck you kind of way.
Fuck yeah,
you know, I never did it because like I wanted to. It was more so like an overcompensation. And so whenever I stopped doing that, which was fairly recently, it's not like I've been doing it. I've only been doing comedy for like a year and 8 months.
Fuck yeah.
And after I stopped trying to impress people and stopped trying to be the best, I got so much better. But in a natural way, not trying. And it's the same thing, like, I'm the type of person that I'm very confrontational, and I will have conversations, and if I find out somebody said something about me, I'm confronting the issue, because to me, like, that's a huge part in comedy. It happens so much, and I'm the type of person that I try to be the same through and through. I stick up for myself. I work really hard, and I think what really changed was A, I stopped trying to be the best, and B, I finally started dating someone that like gave a shit about my hobbies.
Let's go.
And like supported me in my hobbies, and like how you're saying like your wife did for you, and it led you to a path of success, because that's so important, like having someone in your life that genuinely wants to see you thrive and loves your hobby and loves what you do, and like, you know, that sort of thing. So I think that was the same thing, and like Kill Tony is a perfect example, because we didn't go like so I could be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be on Kill Tony and it's gonna be cool, and this and that. I never in a million years thought it was ever gonna happen. I've been watching Kill Tony for 5-6 years, and I never ever, I remember watching it and being like, there's no way, that's never gonna be me, like never ever. And it happened, and I was like, oh my God. And my number one priority was not to impress people. You know, like, oh, I can't wait to get back and tell everybody, you know, if that was never it. It was always like, I want to make sure that I'm on the right path. And I got there, and I went up, and I did great, and they said so many positive things about me, and so it was like kind of how you feel, like no one can take that from me, and I'm not trying to impress. I'm keep my head down, and I'm just trying to be better, but you guys can't say shit about me. Like, I know that I'm good, and like that's all I need, and I won't ever talk about it again.
And it's a good example of like, you've been doing it for a year, but you've like moved so fast in it. And like, for me, I'm nowhere near where I'm gonna be, and I feel like I have so much more to learn. But just like you, I don't do it for anyone other than like my wife and myself. And same thing. If you would have told me I would have been opening up a shop in downtown Melbourne, then I would have laughed. Not only that, if you would have told me people wanted to work with me in downtown Melbourne, I would have been like, there's no fucking way. Let alone people that are more experienced than me, like amazing artists that like could kill it at other shops. And
they want to be like a part of what you have.
It doesn't feel real. But for me, the one thing I admire about how you approach your like passion is, you know what you need to do to get to where you want to be. And it's the same thing with me, where like you saw like Kill Tony's where I want to go to just check myself. Even if I go there, I at least want to check myself at like Austin open mics, because 100%. That's where everything's booming. It's like jiu-jitsu, where if I want to be the best of the best in jiu-jitsu, I wouldn't be here. I'd be in Austin, you know, which is why my close friend Sal, like he's in Austin right now training. He left. I'll never forget. There was a and he's
got like the best of both worlds. Dude, works at fucking Mothership and like does jiu-jitsu. Like,
there's a conversation he and I had. It was me, him, and a close friend of mine, Jeremy Bauer. We all sat down eating acai, and we talked about what we wanted to do, what our dreams were. And I remember him talking about Pro Noya Jiu-Jitsu, and like in the early stages of like, he wants to do Jiu-Jitsu full time. He didn't know where he would be. He was in the Coast Guard at the time. And we were just talking about like our dreams, and the fact that we're living it now is the craziest thing ever. Like he came over for my wedding last year, and like we were just like hyped on each other. Like the fact that we're like, I was doing tattoos and he was doing full-time jiu-jitsu, and like where he wanted to be. And it just takes just just stop caring about what other people think.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's like the main thing, and there's no other place to learn it than being in a profession where everyone hates you.
Yeah.
Where you're being told like, you're a piece of shit, go die, fuck you, this, that. Or like learning not to take compliments, because again, like that's another place where I was told you're the shit, so on and so forth, like just because of my uniform, not because of who I was. And it's ironic that the people that, and at least what I saw personally, it's my personal experience, it's not everyone, but the people that were so anti-profiling and anti like racism or whatever, judging someone based off their appearance, judged me based off my appearance immediately. Yeah. And that's just everyone. Everyone is human. Human nature is they're gonna size you up. They're gonna judge you. They're gonna profile you. It just is what it is.
You did it at 5 years old. So.
Yeah.
It was in your blood.
It was crazy, and it's wild. Like it's like. I wouldn't have thought that I would end up here, let alone people want to hear about what I do and want to be a part of what I'm a part of. And I'm just excited because I genuinely think that just doing me is going to change how people perceive tattooing and how they perceive it as a career, because it's again, you don't have to come to my shop to be cool. We don't care. You cannot, like, people, it's hard for tattooers to understand being a criminal doesn't impress me, or fucking like give me a hard on for you and your work. Being a tough guy doesn't impress me. I don't care. Like, I've met guys that could murder me with their bare hands. They don't treat me any differently. You know, the only thing I care about is how good of an artist you are and how you treat people. And that was my hiring criteria for the shop, is you could have a great portfolio. If you're a shitty person or come off as a shitty person, fuck you, get the fuck out. And that's where, like, thankfully I learned how to interview people, and the opportunities I was given was so crazy that I didn't think would pay off, and now they are. When it comes to interviewing
internet,
people,
you can like do a whole background check.
100%.
Like, you can find out everything.
Yeah,
about
that was like my
person.
biggest thing. Is like, if I see one fucking Facebook rant about anything political or any other tattoo shop, get the fuck out. I don't want you.
Yeah.
I just cared about your artwork and your personality as a person. Like, yeah, it's weird.
And it's like, it's one of those things too, because I want to see how you feel about it, like the evolution of your art as well.
For sure.
Like analyzing things that you did a long time ago and then your art now. Like, how do you feel about yourself as an artist? Like, has it helped you, like, watching yourself grow, or do you feel like there's things that you wish you still did? Like,
well, for sure, and I didn't have a normal apprenticeship. I was apprenticed under someone that just wanted the booth rent, you know?
Yeah.
So I didn't learn what I could have learned, but at the same time, I don't like to think on that, because I'm here. You know, like, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here. Like, everyone has to start somewhere. Exactly,
like,
you know, and it's like,
I've seen some horrible tattoos.
Bro, and and that's the thing, is like, unfortunately, I feel like I learned at a progressive rate, because starting off, I did a lot of horrible tattoos. And then I'm friends with a lot of people I did horrible tattoos on, and I fucking see them all the time. And so that allows me to kind of, again, just hone in on my artwork and get better and surround myself with those that are, like, I can tell you in the downtown Melbourne area,
how does that feel if, like, you did it, like, I don't know if you're saying, like, you did a tattoo on somebody and it was horrible. How does that feel? Like, is that true, or is it really not?
No, it's a good reminder that it helps, like, ground me. Like, because I'll do fucking great on it. I'll do a tattoo that I knocked out of the park that I feel like is great, but then I'll see Jake's leg and be like, fuck me, you know, like, that dagger looks fucking horrible, you know? And it's like, or like, what I've learned now is, like,
but honestly, though, in comparison, his are so good compared to some people's.
No,
like, you've seen bad.
Yeah, but and again, that comes from the discipline I learned. Like, if I want to get
like, whatever, leave it alone.
I want to get good. Like, if I wanted to, like, if I wanted to get good at jiu-jitsu, I need to rep, like, triangles like there's no tomorrow. Like, and that's that discipline. Again, I bring what I learned there into tattooing, and if I wanted to get good, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, I'm not gonna get promoted because I'm a good spirit. Like, I needed to put my time and effort on the mats. Like, there was a point, like, jiu-jitsu for me was my everything. When I wasn't just thinking of art, and there was no one. I lived at the gym. There was no one that trained more than me. I slept. I would remember. I would wake up at 5. Me and my coach would train at 5 a.m. We would grapple. I'd go to sleep till noon, do noon class, and then I would go eat, come back, and do evening class. And I took that and I brought it into tattooing, where I'm drawing. Like, I'm drawing, I'm painting, I'm tattooing, and there's nothing, like, I can control what my outcome is, so I have no excuse to not do that and not learn as much as I can, buy as many books, like, ask as many questions, and I think that's what helped, like, my confidence helped me surpass that, because I can, instead of being nervous and not bothering some of these, like, senior artists, I can go up to them and first of all compliment them, because I feel like that's something people don't do in tattooing, is like, hey dude, I love your work, like, can you show me how you did that, or hey man,
that's
like,
just
your
like
shit's
comedy.
awesome, you
like,
know?
it's just like comedy.
Jake
is actually one of the very first people that, like, is so, like, oh my God, you're so good. Like actually like compliments people in the way they deserve. Yeah. And like, to me, it's like, I would never, but like also it is something that I need to be better about because like I'm one of those people that's like, you have to start separating the art from the artist.
Yeah, hell yeah.
If that makes
sense.
People 100%. Are like, oh, I'm never going to listen to R. Kelly ever again. I'm like, bitch, on me. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you, Keys to Ignition is the shit.
Right, exactly. So it's like, I understand the aspect of it. Like, obviously, you don't want to support shitty people, and that's a huge deal, and that's just a moral thing that someone decides to do. But people don't compliment people enough, and like, it's impossible to get anybody to give you any type of like. Yeah.
It also hinders you from being. It hinders you from being any better. To be able to study, because that's the thing is Jake and I are involved in a sport where we kill each other and then we thank each other afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, we literally get the shit beat out of us, and at the end of it, we shake their hands and go, "Hey, thanks for that."
Men are just like that,
But yeah,
literally, men will like full blown punch each other in the face. I fucking hate you. I want you to die. And then like 5 minutes later, they're like, "All right, bro." Like, we just kind of over exaggerate, and then they're fine. Women are like, "I'm holding a grudge for 35 years."
Well, what's funny too is like the highlight of my jiu-jitsu career is like going viral for doing something stupid on Fight to Win, and then like having my heroes comment an idiot on the bottom of the video. So I've had like my and this is an egotistical thing to say, but like my ego is very non-existent. Where it's I've had the shit beat out of me. I've come close to death. I've had my heroes fucking mock me without knowing me. Like, and it doesn't. Someone in Brevard County isn't going to impact how the fuck I how I view my artwork, and it's just one of those things where, like you said, like
your videos you make are hilarious.
Oh, what's funny
your
is
tattoo videos are so funny.
Well, that's the thing that like not hindered me at all. It helped me grow as an artist, but I got clowned on for it because a lot of people are like, dude, just focus on the art, don't focus on the marketing. And I'm like, how can I tattoo if no one knows who I am or where I'm at?
Correct.
And like
marketing's everything.
I've gotten the best clientele from that, and I don't say this in like a fucking look at me way, but I've only been tattooing 3 years now. And I'm booked out. It's not a lot, but I've 3 months booked out.
You've only been tattooing for 3 years?
Yeah, I just hit 3 years in November.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like I'm booked out more than people who've been tattooing for 10, and it's not because I'm better.
3 years is nothing, and you're literally and you're doing so good. That's wild.
Well, that's the thing is like people they care too much about what their neighbors think, and they don't care about just draw, just focus on you.
Yeah,
like you're the artist, not the
you're killing it. Jake's like, we'll talk about that.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's a dagger on that thing that I fucking like.
Every time you see Jake, you're just like,
yeah.
I'm embarrassed.
It was. What it wasn't. What's funny
Tell
is
them Control Tattoo did that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Is
I absolutely love you guys. That wasn't shade at all.
Everyone was 10 times better at me than at Control. Like that's another thing too. Is like. It wasn't until like I looked up to like Lurk and Mike and everyone there because their work is fucking insane.
They're so cool.
And it wasn't until like I remember Lurk followed me and I was like, holy fuck, am I famous now? Like, am I the shit?
An icon.
Like, but she's so much fucking like so these good. People are so much better.
Her tattoos are literally like I'm not
it's insane.
Her tattoos are the ones that are on Pinterest. That
fuck yeah.
It's hers.
I think maybe this will change something, but like. There are a lot of artists in here that I look up to that I unfortunately think that like no one looks up to them, that they think that the world's out to get them, and not anyone I control, but like I can name like 5 fucking artists here that I wish I was as good as, Control having like 3 of them, and then Angela and Titusville, that's fucking insane, or like Michael Moore, like these guys are so fucking good.
And they just think that nobody gives a shit,
And it sucks, and that because no one there's not that environment isn't there, like unless it's your own shop or your own
that's
ecosystem.
Like art in general. Any type of art, it's like that.
It's almost taboo to compliment someone's work, but it's like I'm the first to say like there are many, and I'll tell people all the time like go get tattooed by those guys before you get tattooed by me, because you go invest in yourself. Like I will give you my work, but I have so much more to learn, and I'm going to get better, but there's people out there that are 10 times better. Do your research and do your thing. If you end up on my chair, I'm grateful and I'm honored that you like, that's how I think of it. Like you looked at everyone else and then chose me, and that to me is an honor. And it's the fact that people want to wear my work is why I believe that I need to put my effort in and actually.
It's actually so funny because I work for like an event company, and they do the events at Wickham Park and stuff. like big food festivals and stuff, and I'm their marketing and like social media manager, and I was trying to tell them like we have to make reels and like funny and humor and all these things to get views, and I literally pulled up your page and I was like, do you see this? Funny.
It works. It fucking
funny.
works.
And I was like, I was like describing the videos, and so I was like, Hector's the only one that I can think of right now that has those like type of videos that are quick, funny.
And you've been to my Merritt Island shop, like it's hidden. Yeah. And that's the thing that people don't understand. Like I got to where I'm at in a shop that no one knows where it's at. No one's ever heard of. There's no sign, no nothing. Yeah. Now I'm gonna be in front of everyone's face. There's nothing like I in the most respectful way. I'm gonna be a fucking menace. Like you're literally it's just building a community. You know, and that's the thing is like hard work met the opportunity. It's not like it's just I'm very blessed to be where I'm at and have the people I'm with, but. I feel like again, I hope this helps. You're making them sick
to their stomach. Like literally, you're making them so sick.
Yeah. I hope that it will.
You're like smack dab in the middle of downtown too, right in the middle.
Yeah, and that's why like
they're vomiting. They're so nauseous.
Dude, what's it called? Speaking of that shit, like I'm young, but I have like old spirited. I'm very old spirited where I didn't like. I think the other day I learned what serving cunt was. One of my artists did a tramp stamp on a friend of ours that said serving cunt, and she called me and she goes, hey, because she's a junior artist, so I'm making sure that we set her up for success and does tattoos that are beneficial to her, and she's like, hey, am I good at tattooing? I'm like, what is it? And she goes, it's serving cunt as a tramp stamp. I'm like, the fuck is that? And I guess it's like bad bitch or something.
Yeah, so like cool. Serving cunt is like your mother house.
I'm so detached from like modern like lingo, and I still say rad and cool like a fucking dork. But
I texted you swagger earlier.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with swagger's the shit. Yeah, I remember that. Like fucking that was my era where I remember like lit was a fucking like controversial word, and I used that to a detriment because of Travis Scott. But
lit AF.
Yeah, dude, it was wild.
100 sign emoji.
Yeah, and it's funny because and then like you probably like relate to this where everyone's like hating on the young culture of like the skibbity shit, and it's like, bro, we grew up wearing Elmo hats at the mall with fucking.
Let's pull up your picture.
Let's
pull up the photo. Like, dude, you want to make fun of them?
Yeah, it's like, dude, fucking chill out, bro. Like
the bottom of my hair was dyed hot pink.
Yes,
I cut my hair with fucking razor.
Yeah.
I had thick eyeliner. Sleeping with Sirens, Pierce the Veil, Hawthorne Heights.
Yes, bro. Like, when it was like popular to have the collection of the fucking booty bracelets. Yeah.
I would literally go to Hot Topic and drop $800.
Do you remember when we were younger, it was cool to be friends with the people that worked at Hot Topic, and then now we're adults and they're 30-year-olds hanging out with 16-year-olds?
Literally. If you walked into a Hot Topic and they were like, hey, Selena,
I'm like, yo, I'm a bad bitch. Yeah, like fucking. Yes. I remember playing skate with the guy at Zoomies, and I'm like, dude, I'm basically fucking. That's it. Yeah. And then I grew up and I'm like, maybe he shouldn't have been hanging out with a 14-year-old.
No,
like,
literally. Why is a 50-year-old man calling me beautiful?
Yeah.
No, seriously, that's so funny because where I lived, like there was no mall, there's no Hot Topic, there's none of that.
Did you grow up here?
No, I grew up in Marianna, Florida.
Oh fuck, I have no clue where that's at.
It's
I'm assuming you're an Air Force base.
No, I was born in Germany because of Air Force.
Dope.
Then Air Force for a little bit, and then we moved to Texas in Houston with my dad's family. Mexican.
Fire.
As hell. A lot of crime, a lot of craziness with the fam.
Makes sense.
So we decided to move. Yeah. So my dad's like, you know what? We're just moving in the middle of the woods.
Dope.
Nobody can do anything to my family if we live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So my dad was like, he worked for USDA, and there was an office in Marianna, Florida. Never heard of it before. It's like 15 minutes from the Alabama state line. Mm-hmm. Nobody's ever heard of it, and we drove there and we were looking at houses, and my family didn't have a lot of money at the time, so we are driving to this house that we're about to move into. And it is in the middle of the woods, Hector. It is a wooden cabin.
Like,
bro. A wood cabin.
That's awesome.
In the middle of the woods in bumfuck Marianna, Florida. And the guy that owned it had a huge wooden house as well.
Yeah.
Was a gator hunter. His name was Slater. Like, he was an icon. He made us like deer meat spaghetti for the first time in my whole life.
Yeah,
could have died. Good. It was so good. And he was like hunting, fishing. He had gators. It was like, it felt like a movie, like literally. And so we moved there, and that's where I lived. I went to high school there. I mean, I lived there my whole life. After that, I was like 9 or 10 whenever we moved there, and I graduated. And then as soon as I graduated, I moved to a town in Alabama, and I had lived in Alabama until I moved here. So yeah, it's like, it's wild. Like that culture is still everywhere, but like for me, we didn't have like big cities. We didn't have beach. We didn't have like anything. We had like a raggedy ass bowling alley that was ran by a pedophile.
That's awesome.
Next to like a fucking rundown Piggly Wiggly.
That sounds like an investment.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's crazy to like move here and see that there's so many cool hobbies and things that you can have, because it's like I felt like I would have done comedy way sooner if I lived in an area where like that existed. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
so funny you say that, because I'm sure like growing up, I'm pretty sure Jake can agree, like we didn't think there was anything to do here in Brevard.
Yeah.
You're either redneck, you sold drugs, or you smoked them. Like that was it. Like even growing up, I hated it.
You guys have no fucking idea.
Well,
you have no clue.
Which is funny, because I would spend my summers, my dad lived in Mississippi in a trailer park, and my story gets fucking like all over the place, but like I experienced the same shit where like I would literally you ever see Squidbillies? You remember Squidbillies?
No.
It's like some weird redneck, probably deep cut then, but like weird redneck, like Adult Swim shows. Yeah, but octopus.
Yes.
That was my dad's side of the family, because like in Puerto Rico you have like rednecks, like Puerto Rican rednecks, or like city people. But like in Puerto Rico, or not in Puerto Rico, Mississippi, we lived in a trailer. And
Mississippi's horrible.
Bro, I had a cut, like, again, why I think my life's like a fucking weird movie. I had a cousin, moved there from Puerto Rico. We think he was autistic. We literally think he was autistic.
Undiagnosed.
18 years old. He couldn't speak any English. I was like 10 or 12.
What type of symptoms did he have?
Everything, all of it.
Oh, really?
I'll show you here in a second.
You have a video?
Bro, like he looks
FaceTime
like
him right now.
Like he probably wouldn't know how to use the phone. Like he had a mullet.
He's like,
bro, like, but he was functional, right? And
are you sure?
Dude, I left one summer, came back, gnarly mullet, gut, drinking beer like this on tomorrow, fit the bill, and then we found out this chick that he worked at AutoZone. Loved her.
So on brand.
Loved her. Looked like the chick, who's the one that says Sody Pops? The my 900-pound sister or whatever. Like, looks like her.
Wait, really?
Bro, I gotta show you a photo after this. So he goes, hey, like because they called me Koki when growing up. They're like, hey, can you talk to her for me? I'm like, what do you want? I'm 12. He's like, ask her for her number. I'm like,
I'm 12 years old.
That's illegal, bro. Like, I can't do that. Turns out they hooked up. Right, fast forward, he was 18. Turns out she was 40. 40 with 3 kids.
She's an icon. I love her.
It gets great. Trailer with 5 cats. The kind of guy that
she probably smelled amazing.
It was, and again, I loved it every side. Like they were great people, but it was just so like there was one time like. You wouldn't be surprised if a possum got stuck in his dryer, he would just eat it. You know what I mean? Like that kind of like redneck side of family. Like, and it's
possum's actually good as fuck.
Oh, bro. Well, because like I grew up like my dad exposed me to all that stuff. Like I had deer,
a friend that lived in a trailer. Shit. Yeah. And one time we were eating breakfast at her house, and her brother went to go pour a bowl of cereal, and a mouse came out.
Yo, yes, yeah. We roaches everywhere. Yes. Like they're like to the point where our house, like my dad's house, got raided. Because they mistook him for, because at trailer park, you're either Puerto Rican, Mexican, or just unfortunately very poor, you know, and
you're either brown or trailer trash.
Literally,
white trash.
And so my dad got mistaken for another guy named Hector, and they raided his house. So I was like 12. We all shared the same bed, you know, and then we woke up to like cops' lights in our face. Like again,
and you said that's what I want to do.
Yeah, dude. Never, and that's what's even like again why people are so surprised.
Barge into trailers.
Yeah. It's like this is like immigrant families. I'm coming for you, you know. Like
Watch out.
I had no idea. Like I never had a good experience with law enforcement until like I met the people I did, and there's more good than bad in everything, you know. But
when I went to jail, they were very nice to me. I hate like people that are like, oh fuck cops, and I'm like, honestly, as someone that actually has had run with the police, so kind.
Yeah, and it you just get what you give.
They let me keep my lashes on in jail. They were icons. Like literally the best. That's so funny. That's so wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, growing up in the middle of nowhere definitely shapes you as a person. And like so many people here are like, oh, there's nothing to do. Like it was boring. This is a small town, blah blah blah. And I'm
just get creative.
You guys have a target.
Yeah.
And like a super target. Do you not understand? You live in paradise.
Yeah.
Like
that was when I first moved, because I grew up in Orlando, and the school I went to, South Orlando Christian Academy, private school, but not at all like bougie. It was in a very it's off Oak Ridge. If people live there, they know what I'm talking about. But like we couldn't wear certain colors because of gang activity. You know, like we literally couldn't wear certain colors. And if we did, like either we got our asses beat or like we would get written up. I moved here, and then there's kids wearing bandanas as fashion statements, and I'm like scrawny white kids wearing like.
Do that so bad.
It was just the weirdest thing ever. It was wild, like, and I would be like, it would scare me because of how I grew up.
Yeah.
But it's weird, like culture, like what, like, and I had a emo phase. I had a redneck phase where I'd be like dipping in the woods and like just like, yeah.
You're really bad. In your cop era.
Yeah, that was actually what's it called? What do they call it? Like a
Brevard County cop.
Yeah,
like that's giving your Brevard.
Yeah, dude, it was insane. Like it's
okay.
It's
you
crazy.
Just had a little law enforcement era. That's not bad. Like,
yeah, thankfully, I mean, it made me who it made me who I am, and it made me more confident.
Like it really can. And it's like the same reason why like guys go into the military for 4 years.
For sure.
And then get out, and like it helps them with so many things.
It either helps them or they marry a stripper. Like it's one or the other. There's no
to me,
middle
honestly,
ground
marrying a stripper probably helps more than not.
Yeah.
Money's coming in.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's working.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny. Like my school was so like, and I think my dad moved us out of Houston to like avoid that type of type of upbringing, because that's what my dad had. Is he grew up in a really Mexican, poor, like ghetto, a lot of crime town in Houston.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't want to have kids that grow up here.
Yeah.
I want them to grow up in like a safe environment with kind people, and nothing can happen to them. So I'm going to move them into the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And like, we got, in trouble for selling silly, like the fucking...
Silly bands?
Silly bands, yeah. That was our
dude.
gang activity.
That's
was the
awesome.
silly bands. And I used to sell them for like $2 a piece at school, and I got in trouble for that.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, it's wild. It's so cool to see like people our age being so educated and so... I hate to use the word woke, but like it is true though. Like it's so cool to meet people like Jake and like you and Chase and people that are so young that like are awake from the bullshit, and we understand how people operate, and we just want to be good people that contribute to society. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it just comes from our exposure though, like what we get exposed to at a young age, the things we see, and that's why the tattoo shop's called Constant Pressure. Like it's a jiu-jitsu thing, but at the same time, like you can't do it if you don't feel pressure, you don't feel some sort of, and this is probably a little extreme, but like if you have not suffered in your life, then you aren't living. Like you don't know how your outlook is very different.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing that you say that, because I feel like that's what separates us from other people that we don't really vibe with, is like we know what it's like to struggle, and we know what it's like to go through hard times, and we've made it out of that type of environment, and we've made better decisions for ourselves as adults. And like it's crazy because society is so fucked, and the economy sucks, and it's like we're all just trying to do our thing, and it's awesome to see good people's hard work pay off. Yeah. Because it's not just you're a good person, so good things happen to you. We both know that's not true. For sure. It's hard work is what gets you to there. Yeah. And someone could be the worst tattoo artist in the world, and like I feel like if they put in all the time, they will get good eventually. Yeah.
There's people that aren't good, that the marketing just saves them. I don't think it's the same thing with comedy. Like there's people that like, and again, I'm not in the industry, so I don't know, but like I see a lot of crowd work, and then like I would go watch their shows. They'll post
clips of them bombing. Like
and then like, or it's just crowd work. You go there and you're like, wait, their comedy isn't that great, but you bought their tickets. You know what I mean? Like
at Matt Rife.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Like,
seriously.
And that's what's funny is that's why I'm a big comedy fan. Like, I study comedians. I study how they perfect example. Like, I hate using him because he's very, very popular, and I've been a fan of Shane Gillis forever. Like, listen to Shane, Secret Podcast. Like, I'm a huge fan. It's the only guy I'll ever fanboy out of. But the thing that I like and why I study comedians is like he was canceled, everyone hated him, and now everyone loves him. And like I study his what he did, and he just didn't care. Like, he just did work. He worked and did. Everyone that's successful now is successful because of that. And you see the guys that aren't so successful, they're kind of like again, I could be wrong, but like outside in, Bert Kreischer's thing was the machine and the shirtless stuff, and he's having to hold on to that to be relevant, and the dude's making millions of dollars. He's so much more successful than I am, but like I study that and go, okay, cool, maybe I shouldn't have one thing. I should try I should try and grow and elaborate on all the things. And I try and learn from all those things, like whether it be comedy, jiu-jitsu is the same thing. Like if you want to be a professional grappler, you can't just be good. You have to market. You have to be sociable in it. You have
like Tom Segura is a good example of like involving your partner in things, and like having a marriage of two comedians with a podcast can also be successful. And like so many different things can work out for so many people. And I think that that's like something to be respected and something to know, and like it is right, you can choose your path. And I think that Shane Gillis like went from being canceled, and getting fired from SNL, and to like having the highest attendance rate at an arena of like 210,000
breaking
people.
records,
like crazy.
And I feel like with him too, it's like growing up skating, if you weren't in LA or New York, you weren't going to make it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like I feel like that's slowly dwindling away, because like we have people in Brevard County making it. Like
it's not true anymore.
That's what I'm saying, because of the internet, or if you're not tattooing in LA or California, you're not going to be anything. Or if you're not doing jiu-jitsu in Austin, Texas, you're not going to. It's like,
which is not true.
All you're doing is limiting yourself. There's so many reasons why you like shouldn't do something, and then there's just as many, if not more, to do, like to be invested in that something.
Exactly. It's so interesting to watch the evolution of people and art, and how cool life is. And people are so sick, and there's so many things that make it worth it. And I think that what you're doing and your success and all of that it's genuinely beautiful, and I think it's so cool, and I think that you're a really sick person, and I hope that you get everything you deserve, because you do deserve it. I hate when people say like I don't deserve anything. You 100% do. Your work pays off, and you're a good person, and that is going to take you a long way, and I'm super stoked. You are so sick, and I'm so glad things are working out for you. It's awesome. Do you want to plug your shop?
Constant Pressure Tattoo, downtown Melbourne, 911 East New Haven Avenue, which is another thing. 911 is my fucking building number. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
It's full fucking sir. I didn't know it. Literally,
it's funny that the cop in you is like 911, and I'm like,
well, no, I went 911. So that's what's funny. I went 911. Someone brought it up. I'm like, oh shit, hell yeah, that's hilarious. And then they're like, no, 911. I'm like, oh fuck, that's crazy.
Watch out for planes.
Yeah. 911 East New Haven Ave. We're hoping to have our grand opening mid-November, or Roman _jiu-jitsu_ on Instagram. So.
Period. And hopefully we'll have some comedy shows at the shop.
Oh, for sure. Fuck yeah.
It's gonna be so sick. Well, thank you so much for coming. We had such a great conversation, and I'm so glad you got to be on Unstable Creatures.
Fuck yeah. Dope.
Bye.
Watermelon goblin size of King Kong. Watermelon goblin size of King Kong. Glasses shattering, million fractions on my face. I can't seem to put them back together in one place. Fractured on my fingers, swollen tongue is out of taste. Cut down all my trees, I'm catching monsters by the lake. I hope I'm not wrong. I hope I'm not wrong.